Hi friends and subscribers, and welcome to Starry Hilders. Oh, hang on. Gotta have my palette here. Welcome to Starry Hilders Pantry again. As I said before, it's winter time out, and I'm going to be spending some time in the pantry discussing things like long-term food storage, pantry items, things that will hopefully get you friends at home off the ground with becoming a little bit more self-sustainable. Now, when you think about a pantry, at least for me, it brings back memories of my mother's pantry and my grandmother's pantry. You know, it was so common to see people way back when storing food, canning food, preserving food, dehydrating food. It just really seemed like more of a way of life. And we really have gotten away from that. Never, ever too late to start a pantry. But I know, because I was a newbie at one time too when we were first married. When you start a pantry, where do you begin? I just know, even though we were canning and we hunted and we fished and we foraged and we had some supplies, all I know is we discovered preppers, that whole prepping movement. And when we saw what preppers had in their basements and in their garages, and we saw all the bulk foods and all the dehydrated foods and all the freeze-dried foods, we really panicked. We thought, oh, we are so not up to par with this pantry thing. And if something does happen that's bad and catastrophic, we looked at each other like, you know what? We're not as prepared food-wise as we thought. So, like probably many of you people at home, we didn't know what to do. So my husband gave me $300 and said, you need to go to the store and you need to buy a lot of canned goods. And that's what I did. I remember, this is when we lived in Wisconsin, I ran down to Aldi's with a panicked look on my face, and I started going up and down the aisles at the Aldi grocery store and just grabbing hordes and hordes of canned goods. I mean, everything. All I could think of is preppers. We have to do what the preppers are doing. I mean, it was really a panic feeling. So I was getting cases of tomatoes. I was getting cases of peas, corn, green beans, pork and beans. Lots of stuff that we didn't even eat. But I had to have it because, you know, we're prepping now. And I remember that poor checkout girl. Oh, and the people, you know, I had a line behind me because I had cart after cart. Really, my Subaru was so weighted down. I think I came home with a pallet of canned goods. What did we learn from that? Well, what we learned from that is it was unnecessary. We spent a lot of money on canned goods that we still have in our pantry today. Many that were really impractical. But when you don't know, what do? So now throughout the years, we have really learned about how to build a pantry that is not just a long-term storage pantry, but a working pantry. A pantry that we utilize every day for our daily needs. And that's what I really want to encourage you newbies at home to start looking at. If you're starting from scratch, or say you already have a small pantry and you need to expand a little bit and get up to par, I really wanted to start talking a little bit more about how to build that pantry up and how to do it in a way where you're going to save money. You're not going to make purchases that end up just being needless and wasteful. And you look at it in two different ways. You're going to look at a pantry as long-term, and you're going to look at the pantry as short-term. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to save a lot of money, and you're going to have an awesome pantry in the end that is going to sustain you. So in this video, let's talk about using the 5-gallon food grade containers. They really work well for my 6-month or less food ingredients. Now I'm not going to go through all the ingredients that I store in there's a lot, because I access it sometimes weekly. I won't go through what I have in here, but let's just say some of the food items are like my rolled oats. Use a lot of that here on the homestead. Barley, use a lot of barley, a lot of millet. I've got my rices in there, my brown rice, my white rice. I'll even ration off some of my longer term food storage items like my beans, because we eat so much beans and I like to stay ahead of the canning. I will put those in the 5-gallon food grade buckets. Now, there are the bigger ones. You can buy the 5 gallons, or you can buy the bigger gallon buckets too. And when I first looked at the 5-gallon buckets, I thought, oh, they're so small, and why would anybody want a smaller food grade bucket? Well, this is the reason. After buying the big ones and finding out when you put the food in there how heavy it is, and it really is heavy. For us women, these 5-gallon buckets really work nice because they're so much easier to handle. They're lighter, and you can pack a lot of food in there. So I prefer the 5-gallon buckets in my pantry. In fact, I love them. Then moving on, and I'll show you, we're looking at long-term food storage. Then you're going to be putting those items in those steel barrels that hopefully you have. We have only one in our pantry because we're limited on space. The rest are outside in storage, storing those base foods that have long storage life, and you're probably not going to be using anytime soon. So I'll put in there my overflow of my beans. I've got the black beans, kidney beans, white beans, pinto beans. I'll put in my overflow of my hard red white wheats, my different wheats, my soft wheat, my hard wheat, my barleys, my millet. That's where all of that goes in these containers. And you'll see I'll even have some Mylar bags in here also. We will repackage some food items and keep them in the barrels too. You'll have to figure out what you want to keep long term and what works for you. But on my homestead, it's a lot of the beans and a lot of the rices items. And I like to keep the transitional items still stored in some type of bin. We don't, rodents really aren't an issue here, but still, you never know. I use some of these plastic totes, and they're really nice. And these items will be used within the year, but they're something I don't access a lot of. So I will have, as you see in here, I've got my bulk peanut and raisins. I've got some various dried fruits in here. So a little bit of everything. I kind of try to keep them organized according to what I need. Here's another bin that we've got dried shredded potatoes. Address is your home canned items. Everybody's going to have a little different personal preference when it comes to this. Now here on our homestead, we eat a lot, yeah. As you see, me and Mr. Hilder, we're high energy. We're always doing something, so we burn a lot of calories. And the food on our shelves, they don't last a long time. And when I say they don't last a long time, the oldest item, because I was kind of looking around to see what we're not using a lot of, and it actually ended up being, I've got some taco meat here from 2012. That is the oldest item that I could find when it comes to our home canned foods. Why is that? Well, believe it or not, I'm not a meat eater, but Mr. Hilder, even though he is a meat eater, he doesn't eat a lot. So this gets used last, and that is probably going to be sitting there probably for another year. So the meats really do last a couple of years on our shelves, as opposed to all the other stuff. And the other stuff really is used within a year, I would say. In fact, I run out of sometimes, and I hate to admit that, but this year I actually ran out of black beans because we eat so much, almost daily. I would say at least 4 or 5 days out of the week we're eating some type of bean, and black bean is really one of my favorites. So I actually have to go on a can-a-thon and can cases and cases of black beans so I can keep up. So, there's no rotating that stock. That is here today and gone tomorrow. And you're going to have to figure out what works on your homestead, and if there are items that you find that you're eating a lot of weekly, then you're going to have to start canning. But you also may find that there is going to be items that are going to last a little bit longer, and they're not going to be part of really that per se long-term food storage. So, okay. Oh, and the other thing too, I can a lot and I give a lot away. One of the favorite things that I love doing is sharing what I produce during the summertime, and then I get to give it away for gifts, and I like seeing the smile it brings to people's faces. So it's really important to me to share in that also. Okay, so one last item that we need to address. Top shelf, I do have some freeze-dried and Augustin Farm items. Now, we bought this in our prepper craze. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those items, but I know people are going to ask me about them. Quick disclaimer about those products, because if you have those products already, good, that's great, because they're going to last you for the rest of your life. That's the beauty of those products. They really do serve a purpose. And, you know, we have them. But if you are starting off new and you're really contemplating buying them, don't. And here's the reason why. You can buy bulk items, all of that bulk stuff, basically pennies on the dollar, and then you can store it in Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers. You can use the food grade containers. And you save a lot of money, because I know you friends at home, you tell me all the time, you're on a budget. I'm on a budget. It was amazing that we bought those products. It really kind of, it didn't break the bank, but back then, yeah, they were really pricey. And I kind of shook my head like, oh, is this the route that we have to take? Well, I didn't know. So now I know, and I'm going to pass on that tidbit of information to you. Don't buy the items. They're not worth it, especially because you can go and buy, say, 50 pounds of rice and repackage it. You can buy 50 pounds of black beans and repackage it, and it will last you as long as those items. It will. And, you know, the other thing is just think about this. When you are creating a pantry, think about, are you wanting to create a prepper pantry or a self-sustainable homesteading pantry? I'm here to talk about the homesteading self-sustainable pantry, which is a little bit different from a prepper pantry. Preppers are more long-term storage. They're looking at a pantry that has a lot of bulk items, a lot of freeze-dried items that will last them 50 plus years, that they are going to be utilizing when the SHTF hits the fan. Here on my homestead, not so much. We have our long-term items, but as you see, it is a workable, sustainable pantry that feeds us daily. And if the SHTF does really hit the fan, we're set up. We're good. But I'm not investing a lot in that 20 to 30, 40, 50 year type plan. Homestead pantry. That's what I have, and that's kind of what I advocate if you're looking at self-sustainability. Okay. All right, so God bless you. I'm glad you came along with me on this quick tutorial, sharing some of my ideas and what works for us